All right, I am sitting here with Kendra Gehring, Director of Chicago Collegiate Ministries. Welcome, Kendra.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
So now with this whole thing with the COVID-19 right now, everyone's home. What does Collegiate Ministries look like? It looks like you guys are at UIC, Loyola, DePaul, UOC. Can you give me an update of what's happening on each campuses?
Absolutely. So when all of this started happening, our first thought was, what are the physical needs of our students that we're connected to? So we started out by sending them a form that they could fill out. Do they need help moving? Do they need a place to live if they're international students and they can't go home, but they can't be at the dorms? Do they need emotional support? And so we've got a lot of feedback from there, and then we're able to connect people to those students who are able to help them. So one couple that I work with totally moved one student's belongings out of his apartment because he had to go back to India really quickly and just had to leave all of his stuff. And so we're storing that here. So there's some physical ways that we're helping, but then we've kept doing a lot of our Bible discussion groups and spiritual discussion groups. And we've done that through online platforms like Zoom. Most of the students that we're engaging with have not read the Bible before. They're not familiar. And so it's been sweet to continue those conversations with them. I actually just got off the call with some international students, and we talked about Easter, the story of Easter, and what happened after Jesus died and rose from the dead. And we just put up the text or even a picture on the screen of the story, and we discuss it with them through Zoom. And we've already seen a lot of fruit from having these online platforms to discuss scripture with them. And we've continued to do one-on-one discipleship through that as well. So we have 6 staff, and we all have many students who we're connected with individually. And so we maintain a phone call nearly every week or a FaceTime and discuss a passage from scripture, discuss how they're doing in life. And again, most of these students are not Christians. And so we get to point them to the hope that we have in Jesus. And we actually just this past week had one student who is actually now on her way back to China, but she placed her faith in Jesus this last week after watching a video. And so we're still seeing God work.
Yeah, you have 6 staff. How are they divided up? How many do you have at UIC or Loyola, DePaul, UFC? And then I'm assuming your role is to kind of be on campus overall with all of the campuses?
Yes, that is my role. And so actually currently 5 out of the 6 of us are fully focused at UIC. We've had other staff throughout the years come in and out at different universities, but one staff member is doing things at Loyola, DePaul, and UFC, but the rest of us are focused at UIC.
Got it. And it seems like UIC is the most developed. Is it primarily with students who are living on campus? Is it international students? I hear a little bit of international students flavor is in there as well too.
It's a little bit of both. So UIC is a highly commuter student or commuter population. And so it's been kind of tricky to figure out how do we create a community at a university where at the end of the day, everyone is dispersing to their neighborhoods throughout the city. But with that, we have three of the 5 staff focus more on international students, and then 2 are solely on traditional students, but the ones who focus on international students still help with the traditional student ministry. So there's a lot of overlap. And honestly, at UIC, there are so many first generation, second generation Americans that it's the things that we would do with international student ministry often work really well with traditional student ministry too.
Now, why 3 students or 3 staff with international students? Is there such a big population of international students? And also, 2-part question is, what is the makeup? Is it Asian? Is it Latino? Or what's been the makeup of a lot of these international?
Most of the international gatherings we've done have been Chinese students and Indian students. That's the largest population. But we've had a couple of students from Africa, and some from other areas in the Middle East who have joined us, some Muslim students, so we've had a pretty diverse group there for sure. I think that more so than, well, there's a big need definitely of international student ministry at UIC, but also the hearts of the staff after being at UIC for a while have just grown and grown toward wanting to work with that group of people. And the cool thing about UIC is most of these international students are here for more than 1 year. And
That
so
is
they're, and a lot of them want to live in Chicago long term. And UIC in general is a place where Chicagoans go. At one point, I read that like 10% of Chicago had gone to UIC at least a little bit. And so, in many ways, if you want to impact the city of Chicago, focusing at UIC is a really wise move because these are the students who then are going out into the city and impacting business worlds, education,
yeah.
the medical field, all of those things.
Now, you mentioned that there are two groups. There's the regular students and there's the international. Do they meet separately? Do they meet together? And the reason I ask is I come from a world of intervarsity over at Washington University in St. Louis. We had large groups. We had different types of groups. Is that the same setting as well, too?
It's similar. At UIC, we've done a lot more focus on smaller groups meeting together throughout the week. And then once a month, we'll gather all together. Or we'll do a service project together. So I would say the main thrust behind our ministry is these encounter groups. We call them encounter because it's an opportunity for students to encounter one another and hopefully encounter God through the Bible. And so we have anywhere from 7 to 10 of these groups meeting with maybe about 10 students per group throughout the week, every week. And most of these students are not Christians, haven't read the Bible before. One of those groups is specifically for international students, but international students are welcome to go to the other ones as well. And then from there, we also have a large group monthly gathering that we've done. We're not doing it currently, obviously, but we bring everybody together and we have different content for them. Sometimes we've had panel discussions of different professionals in the city.
Yep.
Sometimes we've done one speaker, sometimes
Yep.
we've done art projects, all different types of events for that. But those small group Bible discussion groups are the most ongoing way for students to get involved.
Now, are a lot of these international students, are they back home now during the situation? Are they staying on campus? Where are they at right now?
There's a little bit of both. So in my call just before this, there was a student that was Zooming in from India, but then there's another student who is here in Chicago, and with their visas, it's kind of tricky because if they go back, they might not be able to come again. And so, yeah, we just had a student from China she's on her way back now. It's taking her multiple days because her flights keep getting canceled as she's traveling, but some of them are still here. UIC's dorms are still open, and so some of them are staying.
Yeah. So for you, Kendra, as team leader, what is going well? What is our areas that you just got to work on here on the collegiate universities?
I think that what has gone well is in Chicago, you have to be able to think outside of the box and not just assume that certain structures that have worked in other places are going to work here. And so we've tried to learn a lot about the way that different cultures approach discussing the Bible or approach Christianity in general, because we would love for the makeup of the ministry to represent the makeup of UIC, and UIC is so diverse.
Yep.
And so when we first started the ministry, we would do certain programs and we'd find, only white people came or something different. And we prayed a lot and asked God to help us to learn and to grow and to offer programs that would meet people where their hearts are needing something. And so I think that our team has stumbled through that together, the idea of a multi-ethnic ministry, and we've made a lot of mistakes in that, but have also learned a lot. as we've read books, as we've brought in people who can train us on that topic, things like that.
Got it. Got it. Got it.
Mhm.
Also, I think a lot of times is for yourself as team leader, costs, expenses are part of the equation. There is the natural cost that every single staff worker has to raise for their own personal support. And for those who are listening, what other big costs are there to support the collegiate ministry? What are the things that you have to raise money for all the time?
Right. So individual staff do have to raise their own support. And one thing with that is that our desire is for our staff team to be ethnically diverse as
Okay.
well. And so we've discovered that people who are white, it's a little bit easier to raise funds than people who are not, or who are ethnic minority staff. And so that's a big push that we've collectively tried to support our ethnic minority staff. But then on top of our individual funds, we have different conferences that we put on for students. So we try to do a fall conference for our students in the city where we bring in speakers and musicians and workshop discussion leaders and options. We have to rent spaces in order to hold conferences like that. And we have to be able to have a place for the speakers to stay. So those are costs. And then there are just ongoing ministry costs at UIC. When we host, we do a lot of dinners and discussions. So we're hosting, like for Easter last year, we did a big dinner discussion, had like 30 or 40 students coming in, and we're paying for their meal and for some content that we're offering them. And then sometimes we do these larger monthly gatherings where we have maybe 50 students, and we're catering. So it's a lot of catering, I guess, are the options, but some bigger conferences every year. And then we were going to have a big spring break trip this year where we took students somewhere, but that was canceled because of COVID-19.
Yeah.
We have these different options. We also have a summer program. It's called Second City Summer, and that's a big cost. Actually, we've done it differently every year. This year, it's going to look a lot different because of COVID-19. But the first year we did it, we had students. We rented out some dorms at UIC, and they lived there for I think 6 weeks. And then we had different opportunities for them in the city where they were connected with different service projects. They were supposed to get full-time jobs that they would work during the day. And then in the evenings, we had curriculum for them to go through. And we brought speakers and different discipleship opportunities. So this year, this will look a little different, but we would love next year to be able to offer a bigger program again.
Got it. Got it. Now, I know UIC is really developed. Is Loyola, DePaul, UFC, are they pretty much developed, or are they all starting up as well too?
They're more starting out. That's more on an individual relationship type thing. So they don't do as many large group gatherings right now, but the staff that we have that are involved there, she meets with people from all of these universities weekly or so.
Got it. Got it. Got it. Kendra, I'm hoping to do this at least once a month, once every other month, because as we connect with the donors, I want them to hear what you're doing and eventually come up with a list of projects that they could be helping, whether it's as a volunteer or as a donor as well too.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. Hey, one last question, or a couple last questions. In terms of your staff over at UIC, what's the breakdown between female? Are they all male, female? Are they all Caucasian? Are they all younger, just fresh grads? Or what does your team look like?
So it's changed a lot over this past year. We had a much larger staff team up until last May. We had multiple staff leave or go on to do other things. So right now it is, 4 Caucasian people and 1 African-American man, 2 women and 3 men. So yeah, is that right? 2 white men, 2 white women, and 1 African-American man right now.
Got it.
In the past, we've had a Latina woman, Filipino American woman, and African American woman on our team, but they all left over this past year.
And this is just me asking naive. Do they leave because it's the next phase. They want to go to seminary. They want to work in the church. Do they leave because of funding issues? What causes them to leave sometimes?
It's been a mixture. For some, it's more of a calling thing, like they've gone on to something else that they feel passionate about. For some, it's been difficulties in working for a predominantly white Christian organization with fundraising and other things that they come up against. For some, it's going back to school for different things. So there've been a mixture of some painful things, some painful reasons why people have left,
Got it.
And some positive.
Okay, perfect. Last thing for you for this month. I mean, are you at home mostly just connecting with your staff and all of that stuff, or what do you find is happening on a day-to-day basis with you?
Yeah, I'm mostly at home, and I connect with staff. I'm on some Zoom calls with students. I also have 2 little girls, so spending a lot of time with them as well.
For those, I mean, you and I are just getting to know each other. You know my brother, you know my sister-in-law really, really well. How old are the girls?
Eliana is 4 and Edie is 2.
Eliana, you know what? I literally just interviewed a person from Jakarta. Her daughter's name is Eliana as well too.
It's a great name.
It must be popular. And then your husband used to work with you at NAVS, but now works at Park Community Church full time?
Correct.
Okay, got it. Hey, let me ask you, how does, I totally understand volunteers and all that. How does the local church work with you all? Do they work together with NAVS really well?
Yeah, we try to. I think we're still learning how to do that, but our Park Community Church and then also some other staff are part of a church called Emmanuel Baptist Church. Both of those churches have connected well with our students. We send them content that those churches create. We invite them to church. Some of those churches are financial supporters of what we do as well. So yeah, I think it's really important to be connected with the church because that's more real life for students. Right now they're in this bubble on campus, but after college they need to be plugged in for sure.
Got it. I know this is my final question. What majors are some of these students at? I forgot to ask you.
Yeah, a lot of pre-med students and engineering students, as well as computer engineering type students. Yeah.
Kendra, Gary, thank you. We will find some time to chat again.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks, Tom.